Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I know, I'm not very good at doing regular uploads. I'm really not very good at that. To ease back into it, I thought this time we'd look at 10 games for 100 days. If I had 100 days and I was locked away somewhere or stuck on a desert island, not one of those nice desert islands like you see on films, or I don't know, stuck on a space station for 100 days like those astronauts that were recently rescued, what 10 games would I want to pass that time? So it's kind of a favourite games, but also games that have a bit of longevity to them, something that's going to keep you occupied for a while. Bit of a mix and match. Thankfully, when we are stranded, we've got our funky little laptop, we've got an Xbox controller, we've got a mouse, and thankfully we've got some solar panels if we are stuck on that desert island. So we can charge some of our little devices. But there's no online multiplayer, there's no internet, so there's no online gaming or anything like that. Mods for games are allowed, but other than that, single player games only. What would you pick? So these games are in no particular order whatsoever, but the first game we're going to look at is by far the easiest game I found to add to this list. I think my love for this game probably started with SimCity, being able to build your own town and village and build buildings and other buildings and infrastructure that relies on them. And following on from that, real-time strategy games like Command & Conquer Tiberium Sun. It had the base and village building and dependency of vehicles and stuff on other structures being built. Really cool sort of expansion on the theme. I really loved this game, played it all the way through, really liked it. But around the year 2000 another game came out in the series, Command & Conquer Red Alert 2. And I was in no way prepared for how awesome this game was going to be. I kind of think the word masterpiece gets thrown around a little too freely these days, but this game absolutely is it. It's got a massive following even 25 years later, and it's no wonder. The thought and care that went into this game really shows. And I think staying with kind of 2D graphics, not 3D accelerated, was absolutely the right move. If they went with early 3D graphics, this game would have really dated now, but the 2D pixel art of it, it still looks fresh today. And there's so many different ways you can play this game. Why not send in a fleet of naval ships, air harriers or tanks to defeat your enemy? Or you can play the smart game, send in engineers to capture their buildings, spies to steal their money and technology. Use the chronosphere and drop an explosives truck on the enemy base. I just love this game. There's two full campaigns to play through. There's the Allied campaign and the Soviet campaign. And after that there's a bunch of skirmish maps you can play with multiple different enemies, and you can use all the skills that you've learnt in the game. Probably the most memorable map in this game is the Red Revolution map on the Soviet campaign. You're playing through the game and it's not too bad, not too difficult until you get to this map. And you're pretty much instantly attacked, constantly. It's really difficult. Everyone gets stuck on this map the first time they play it, but build the correct base defences and position your units in the right place and you can get a bit of a foothold and start building. And what I like to do in this map is just build an absolutely overwhelming force to crush the enemy. You can probably beat this map in 30 minutes. I think my playtime on this map is probably about 8 hours. I've built enough units to absolutely wipe out everything on this map just to give them a bit of pain back. So I would highly recommend you try this game, even if you're not a fan of the series or even if you've not played an RTS game before. Pick this game up and you will have so much fun. One game that is an absolute masterclass in game design is Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo. I had the original Metroid game on NES, I never finished it though. I must go back and finish that one day. I did pick up the sequel on the Game Boy, Metroid 2, was it Return of Samus I think it was called? I did finish that one and really enjoyed it, really quite an achievement for the little Game Boy. Whilst I did have a Super Nintendo myself, I didn't actually have one when it was kind of a current machine. Although my brother did, and he did pick up Super Metroid, the full big box edition with the big guide in it and everything. And I gotta confess, when I first saw this game, I wasn't very impressed. A brand new 16-bit system. I didn't think the graphics looked very good at all. But then I started playing, and this game really pulls you in. Like I say, it's a masterpiece of game design. Picking up weapons and pickups and different abilities to go back to areas you've already experienced and explored, being able to reach new ledges, new doors, being able to go into rooms that you couldn't before because you've picked up new suits, new weapons, the grappling hook, the missiles, super missiles, power bombs. And I think this game's greatest achievement is what it teaches you simply by playing the game. Things that aren't in the instruction manual, things like wall jumping. You know, you play the game and you sort of find out that you have these abilities that were there right from the start, you just didn't know about them. And using these wall jumps and bomb jumps and stuff to skip great big sections of the game on the second playthrough, speeding up your clear time. It's kind of one of those games where you think back and you're a kid, you're lying in bed and you're just thinking about the game. You've picked up a new ability, where can you use it? And you think, I know, I've seen a door. Maybe I can now open it, or a ledge I can now reach. Time to get back into the game. But what of the game itself? Well, it's so much fun to play. Really great sound in this game and some awesome music. A bunch of bosses to take out, loads of rooms to explore, loads of hidden pickups you might not even find in your first playthrough. The massive fight with Mother Brain right at the end of the game, the time bomb escape, trying to make it out, saving the animals at the end of the game, the hidden little secret extra, free them at the end of the game and you get a little change in the end sequence. And as I say, the speedrunning of this game has a massive speedrunning community. One of the biggest creators and streamers is Oats and Goats, and he's pretty much constantly on this game or variations of this game, speedrunning this game, and I do believe he currently holds the world record clear time in this game. But there's also mods for this game. There's Super Metroid redesign, complete redesign of the game. There's Super Metroid Impossible, which is impossible. Redesign of the game, but pretty much impossible for a human to complete it. And people are still making discoveries in this game, still finding areas where they can cut a few seconds off their speedrun, or exploits to cut out a few more sections of the game. This game's an absolute classic, and I'm absolutely certain it's going to get a re-release or a remaster. I'm absolutely certain about it. Link's Awakening is a game that was originally released on the Nintendo Game Boy, but there is a re-release or remaster, remake, whatever you want to call it, on the Nintendo Switch. And it's a word-for-word recreation of the original game, with new fancy graphics, and a few little extras as well. Other than briefly playing Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link on NES, this was my first introduction to the series, a game that I played all the way through. Back in the day, my parents were going on a holiday, and unfortunately I was a bit too young to stay at home. My brother got to stay at home, as a first adult, a grown-up, but I was a bit too young, so I had to go on holiday with my folks. But I was allowed to take my brother's Game Boy along with me, and one of the games I played was Zelda Link's Awakening. And pretty much for this holiday, any time that I wasn't at the beach or out with the folks, I was playing this game right until the early hours. And I absolutely loved it. Loved the little dungeons, the enemies, the different powers, the pickups. Not to mention the awesome soundtrack on the Game Boy with the beeps and the boops, but it sounded awesome back in the day. And I finished that game before the end of the holiday. I completed the entire game, discovered all 30 secret seashells I think it was. So when I heard it was being remade for the Nintendo Switch, I had to pick this game up. I picked it up and I played through it in probably just a few days, remembering a few things from the old Game Boy days. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I say, they hadn't changed anything. All the dialogue is word for word exactly how it was in the Game Boy. They hadn't added any extra bits. It's kind of exactly how I remember it, but made for a modern audience. There's a few extra bits like cartoon FMV intro and outro, but a really fun game. Lots of little quests in this game, side quests, separate adventures you can go on. And playing this game just takes me back to a simpler time. No worries about paying the mortgage or whatever, no worry about jobs, just takes you back to a simpler time. I've also picked up Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which is made in the same game engine, so I'm hoping I'm going to really enjoy that one as well. There were a couple of other ones in the Game Boy series, Oracle of Seasons, and I think it's called Oracle of Ages. I'd love for those to get a remaster as well. Never played them back in the day, didn't have the money, didn't know of them until later on, so if those games can get the same treatment, I'll pick them up. But yeah, an absolute desert island game for me. A game about a desert island. Can't get any more perfect. Power Slave, or Exhumed if you were in Europe, was released in 1996. And this game is basically Metroid Prime 6 years before Metroid Prime was even released. And with an Egyptian theme in the game as well. I first picked this up on the Sega Saturn and I was instantly captured by this game. Like I say, it's basically Metroid but in 3D 6 years before Metroid Prime was released. Loads of cool little weapons and stuff you can pick up in this game. And like I say, just like Super Metroid, lots of different power-ups you can pick up to get to new areas. It's split into different areas, this game, different maps, different levels, but you can go back and explore them with your new abilities, and you can find areas that you couldn't get through before that might lead you to different directions, different levels that you couldn't get to before. And that's how you progress, getting through bosses, finding different exits in levels, power-ups that let you cross lava, power-ups that let you fly, ones that let you swim longer so you can hold your breath, weapons that let you jump to higher ledges. But the real genius in this game lies in the secondary objectives. Sure, you can play through the game and you can get the ending, kind of a bad ending, but the secondary sort of tasks are to assemble pieces of a transmitter so you can alert your rescuers to save you at the end of the game so you can kind of go home. All these transmitter pieces are hidden in various levels in different locations. Some you can reach, some you require different abilities to get to. And it's not just the transmitters. Hidden throughout the game are, I think, 30 dolls, kind of dolls of the developers, bobbleheads, and they're really ingeniously hidden, some of these. A lot of them behind false walls or in ledges or through sort of dangerous traps. Areas that you've already explored. It's just got a massive replayability, this game. Just going through areas you've already been, bombing the walls, finding new areas, picking up new pickups, health pickups, things like that. This game recently got a remaster, which is what you're looking at now. This is Power Slave Exhumed. It's basically a recreation of the original game on the Sega Saturn, but it's got assets from the PlayStation version, assets from the PC version, which again is a whole new type of game, a little bit different levels and stuff in that one. But it's made for modern controls and it plays so well, this game. Definitely a game that would always be in my top 10 and one that would come along with me to the desert island. Next up is Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I know it feels like cheating having 2 Zelda games in this top 10, but whatever, they're quite different games. Other than playing Link's Awakening and very briefly playing Zelda Link to the Past on SNES, I hadn't really had that much involvement with this series. I briefly played the N64 one, probably only 10 minutes of it, but other than that I kind of let the series pass me by. And I hadn't really had any more Nintendo systems. I didn't have a GameCube or a Wii, but I was gifted one later on and I picked up a few games, but didn't really have it at the time. But I remember the announcement of the Nintendo Switch. This new console, it genuinely offered something new, different to the other consoles, and I was really hyped for it, really wanted to play it. And Zelda was one of the launch games. Picked it up with Zelda on launch day, and I just loved this game immediately. I just fell in love with the graphic style of this game. Really cool. The system's obviously not as powerful as the PS4 and Xbox around that time, but it had its own unique little style, and I just absolutely loved it. I am playing the newer game at the moment, Tears of the Kingdom, but I haven't made it all the way through that yet, but at the moment I do still kind of just prefer this game. I mean, this game takes exploration and experimentation to a whole new level. Messing around with your powers, getting to different areas, huge areas to explore, vast areas to explore, loads of little secrets and pickups and weapon power-ups. There's the 4 divine beasts to take down, the big dungeons with Ganon at the end of them, all in a different form. And I remember the flying one most of all. Was it Var Meadow in Rito Village? You have to get cold weather protection because you're flying up high and you constantly lose health otherwise. I didn't have any of this at the time, so I just took loads of food and just kept topping up my health. And I managed to beat the entire dungeon whilst losing health constantly. Really cool. But there's all the separate stuff. There's the shrines, each kind of like its own little mission. There's the Kurok seeds and stuff, the quest for the Master Sword, making your way through the Lost Woods the first time. And that fantastic clash at the end of the game with Ganon, helped by the champions you've helped throughout the game in those 4 dungeons. And it wasn't just the bosses, things like the mini-bosses in the game, the Lionels, the really tough enemies who you used to be really afraid of at the start of the game, who used to pretty much one-shot you. Getting the skills to take those guys down and beat them as fast as you can and take all their stuff. All the cooking recipes that can give you power-ups, offensive and defensive traits and stuff. It's probably the last game I can remember where everyone was playing it and everyone was talking about it and sharing their tips and stuff and where to go and what they found. For me, this game was the perfect reintroduction to the Nintendo console and the Zelda series. Zombie Army Trilogy was a continuation of the first and second games that were released on PC. And this next part in this series contained all the content from the first two games as well. And whilst the game is much better as a multiplayer game online with friends, it's also a really solid single player game as well. Really enjoy playing through this game every so often. Pushing up the difficulty, I'm pretty much at max level difficulty now. I can't quite crack the game on top level difficulty, there's just too much going on. This game's all about zombie control. There's a massive horde of zombies chasing you. But it's all about controlling them, not getting trapped in a corner or letting them pin you down. And it is a skill game. It's all about headshots. The more headshots you can get, the more zombies you can take down quickly. And concentrating fire on the elite guards who take loads and loads of headshots to take down. Thankfully there's a nice 12 gauge double barreled shotgun called the Preacher that is so much fun to use. This is awesome on the elites, takes them down so fast. But there's a bunch of standard weapons as well, standard sniper rifles, sidearms and secondary weapons. I usually use the Lee Enfield rifle. I find it's got the best balance between distance and power. There's grenades and stuff in this game as well, but there's some awesome enemies. My favourite ones are the ones that hold grenades, put them in their mouths and run towards you screaming, just like the Serious Sam game. Really gives a sense of panic. If you don't take them down quick as they run towards you, you're going to go down fast. If you do manage to play online in the 4-player multiplayer mode, that's where the game really shines, especially when you're playing it on max difficulty. Don't play it on anything less than the top difficulty. It's weird, it's one of those games where the harder it is, the more fun it is. And 4 of you running around, and when you get to the state where 3 of your friends are down and you're running around and trying to divert the zombies away to run back to them and try and bring them back to the game, that's where the game really comes into its own. But it's such a great game, really worth picking up. There's so much content in this. Like I say, it's a trilogy, it's all 3 games in one package. Worth picking up on no matter what system you manage to play it on. I would avoid the later games though, they are a bit of a cash grab, especially the 4th game. I'm so disappointed by that, but stick with trilogy and you'll have such a great time with this game. Battlefield 1942 was released way back in 2002, and this was the first game in the Battlefield series. But we're not actually looking at this game today, it's a mod of this game that was released back in the day that surpassed the original game itself, and it was called Desert Combat. Now, early releases of this game kept the maps of the original game, but later versions added their own custom maps. But basically what this game did was change all the vehicles from ones from World War II to modern day ones, and it made the gameplay quite a lot faster as well. I'm still playing this game even on single player well over 20 years later. It's the perfect game to fire up for a quick blast, but it's the vehicles and the combat in this game that makes it so much fun. Back in the day, players would be flying around in their helicopters and you'd get in a plane and you'd fly the plane straight towards the enemy helicopters and eject at the last minute, just to be a real pain in the ass to them. Or soldiers running across the battlefield, you swoop down in your Harrier jump jet and clip their heads with their wheels and take them out. I just don't think this one's ever been bettered. I played Battlefield 2 and Battlefield 3, but none of them came close to the mod of this first game. There's good team play and cooperation in this game as well, helping each other out, but also with the vehicles. Someone's driving the tank while someone's controlling the top turret, someone's flying around in the gunship while someone's manning the howitzer, someone's flying the Black Hawk while someone's on the minigun taking out enemies. Or maybe you're just in a jeep, no weapons at all, but you're driving around the battlefield picking up your guys to take them to the next control point. Or if you're lucky enough to get in the A10 before anyone else does, you've got the Gal assault cannon on the front of this thing that just rips tanks and artillery apart, or long-range missiles to take out the guy's bases. And I think the graphical style actually still holds up 20 odd years later. I think that the styling of the graphics, I think it holds up perfectly. A great game to play and an easy recommendation. A game that will not surprise anyone by being on this list for me is Hired Guns for the Commodore Amiga, released back in 1993. A lot of these games we've looked at so far are kind of newer games because newer games are larger, that you've got more memory to play with, more system power. That doesn't apply to Hired Guns. Running on just a 1 megabyte Commodore Amiga, this game is, for me, the best adventure game that has ever been made. If this list were a numbered list, this game would be at number 1. It's a game where you pick a team of 4 out of, I think, 16 team members, so each team member has a different loadout to start the game with, and you have to find 4 nuclear cores to destroy this alien planet graveyard. The areas on the map screen that have a red circle around them show where the nuclear cores are, so you can make a beeline straight for it, or you can take a diversion, visiting areas that don't even need to be visited, just to explore and pick up different weapons, stronger weapons. Maybe you'll pick up repair kits, first aid kits, droid repair kits, laser weapons, sonic amplifiers that cast all sorts of weird and wonderful effects on you, from boosting your strength to building bridges over areas. For the time, and maybe even now, this game is still quite large. You have the full campaign game, and there's a bunch of short action games you can play after, not even related to the single player game. And you've got control of 4 separate characters, so you've got 4 separate characters who can walk around these zones and trigger switches and move platforms and stuff to get your team out of there. Even getting a loan of the demo disc to play this back in the day, I was playing this game for months before the full game came out, and I couldn't wait to play it. I just remember being in school just wanting to get home and play this demo disc. That's how big an effect this game had on me. And the game probably took me 20 odd years to finish, but what a journey, what a great game, and I really hope this gets some sort of remake or update one day. Graphics and gameplay form part of any decent game, but what about sound? Sound's used to create some awesome soundtracks, but it's also used to create atmosphere, and for me no series did it better than the Stalker series. Originally these were released on PC. There was Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, Clear Sky and Call of Pripyat, and now Stalker 2, but we're really going to be focusing on the first game, Shadow of Chernobyl. On the surface this might look like a typical looter shooter, but it's so much more than that. It's all about the exploration, exploring deserted buildings or taking down enemies in buildings and looting their stuff and finding secret stashes of hidden cool pickups. Whilst the combat is great, it's kind of secondary in the game to me. It's all about the exploration and the atmosphere. I was fortunate enough myself to visit Pripyat back in 2011, where a lot of this game is based, and occasionally I come across something in this series that just takes me back to that time, something I've seen or think I've seen somewhere. And just the recreated atmosphere of being in a completely deserted landscape, with just the breeze and the sound of birds and stuff. And this series is now available for consoles. It's on Switch, it's on PlayStation and Xbox. I think it's called Legends of the Zone, and it includes all 3 games. It's absolutely worth picking up. There's hours and hours of content in that series if you do pick it up, and it's got some nice graphical updates from the early PC release as well. There's multiple different endings to this game as well. You're basically trying to get to the centre of the zone to see the wish granter and make a wish and get your different ending, but it's depending on how you play, how much money you've got left, your relationship with the different factions, and the ending you get may not be the one you think you're going to get. But I won't spoil it. Play the game and you'll just really enjoy this game. Like I say, atmosphere, there's no equal. The last in my Desert Island games is going to be Final Fantasy VII. And to be honest, I'm kind of surprised I even tried this game out. I remember my friend's brother got a PlayStation and he rented this game. And I said, "Oh, what's this one like?" "Oh, a load of rubbish, mate, you don't want to play it." Oh, okay. I read the back of it though, and sounded really interesting to me. I remember my brother picked it up for a short time as well, but he didn't get on with it either. He didn't like the random battles, that really put him off. But again, I was still really interested in it, so when I finally got a PlayStation myself, I picked this game up. And I was so glad I did. This was pretty much the next step along in video games. Unachievable on any other system up until this point, including the N64, which the game was originally going to release on, I believe, but it wouldn't have a hope of doing this on a cartridge. It needed CD technology for the full motion video and just the scale of the game. This game came out on 3 CDs back in the day, and I don't think I'd ever seen that before. I'd seen a game release on 12 floppy disks, but 3 CDs? No way. But this game's got a great story in it as well. I must confess, I probably struggled to follow it all the first time I played through when I was a lot younger, but I've played through the game a bunch of times since, and yeah, starting to get a bit more of it now. Whilst the game definitely has a path of progression, there's definitely sort of segues and stuff you can take into different areas of the game. You're not forced into it. And to be honest, the whole random battle thing and levelling up, that's never been something that's bothered me. I've always enjoyed levelling up, making your character stronger and stronger. And this game's got a great system of equipment and materia slots where you're levelling them up to get different abilities, counter-attacks, revives, cures. It really is quite genius and quite easily exploitable as well back in the day. But this game had it all for me. It had the music, the graphics, the gameplay and the story. And I remember getting so involved in this game that I think I was late for my job one day, and I think I had to lie to the boss and say, oh, I just witnessed a crash and I had to hang around for the police. Absolutely rubbish. I think I was stuck in the Costa del Sol level on this game and exploring and just lost track of time. But what a great game. Of course, it's got the fantastic epic encounter with Sephiroth right at the end of the game, but it also has one of the most iconic moments in any video game. The loss of one of your main characters who you've basically been going around with for hours and hours, just to kind of lose them at any point in the game was kind of a shock really, but so well done and definitely memorable. I do have the remake to play, but I haven't put much time into it, probably not even out of the first reactor yet, but it's one of those games I've still got to sit down and play. But that was the last of my 10 games. Anyone who's played Final Fantasy VII all the way through, particularly back in the day, it's a game that's always going to stick with you. What a masterpiece. Hope you enjoyed that run through of my 10 Desert Island games. Again, some of them are ones that I would choose just for longevity rather than being my most favourite games of all time. They're ones that are my favourites, but games that would last me the longest as well. But always interested to hear from other people in the comments. What are your favourite games? What games would you take with you? Maybe a role-playing game, maybe football management. I know there's loads of people out there who are into those types of games. But let me know in the comments. Take it easy, and I'll see you guys next time.